my LOOM knit beanies. It's a really cute beanie and it's fun to make. And just look at this pattern, guys. Okay, so before we begin, I just want to tell you a short backstory of how I got into beanie. When I was 16, I bought my first beanie and then I was obsessed ever since. Especially after I watched Sarah Beauty Carter's DIY beanie video, and whoa, I needed to buy LOOM and I could make beanies. Let me show you how you can make a beanie with a diamond lace stitch pattern. Just admire this pretty pattern. Isn't it cute? And you don't have to worry about it. It is simple and easy to follow. All you need is a loop to go over your head. To make sure you get the right one. This one is a 36 pad loom, and get your yarn. You need about like 2 bundles of it and you're ready to go. Let's begin by making a slip knot with your yarn. To do this, you need to use 2 fingers and wrap it around in a cross shape and pull the yarn from behind until you get a pretzel shape, and then pull the yarn in the inside right corner. Grasp the yarn and tighten it. Now you have a slip knot and you should place it on the bottom peg of your loom. First, E-wrap the yarn all the way across the first row. This is called an E-wrap because you are forming an E shape by wrapping the yarn around each of the pegs. If you look from above, you should see your yarn making an E shape around the pegs. E-wrap the second row also and knit off with your knitting hook. To knit off, you should use your hook to pull up the bottom yarn over the top. Make sure your left hand is holding onto the top yarn, and this is how you can prevent it from slipping away. After you have knitted off the second layer, it is time to U-wrap the following row. Now the difference between a U-wrap and an E-wrap is that a U-wrap only goes halfway around the pegs, and if you view it from above, it looks like a U shape. An E-wrap, it goes completely around the pegs, so you don't have to really worry about the shape it makes as long as you wrap it and it completely covers the perimeter of the peg. Now what you need to do for the brim is to alternate between U-wrapping and E-wrapping each row until you have counted off 20 completed rows. This is the brim of your hat. Once you have completed your 20 rows, look for the very first loop that you began with and place it over the first peg. Now pull over the entire first row of loops over all the pegs and then knit off the bottom row. Next, we will begin the diamond lace stitch pattern. Now here's where you need to pay more attention because it is quite easy to slip up. Begin by E-wrapping the entire first row. Now let's pretend this is the starting peg, and I will count to the third peg on the right. U-wrap that peg. Cross the yarn over to the second peg, which is the peg on its left, and E-wrap that peg on the left. After that, knit off the 2 pegs. Just repeat the same steps by skipping 2 pegs, land on the third peg. On the right of those 2 pegs, make a figure 8 on that peg and the peg on its left, and this is your next figure 8. Now after making the figure 8 stitch this way around the second row, you need to E-wrap the third row and then knit off. For this pattern, you need to alternate between E-wraps and figure 8s. For the subsequent figure 8 row, you need to offset the diamond pattern by e-wrapping and knitting off the first peg of the row. Now, instead of skipping 2 pegs, you skip only 1 peg, you land on the second peg and you made a figure 8 there. Alright. If you don't understand, now I will show you what I mean. Now look, this is where your previous figure 8 was, and here is your newest one. This one is your first diamond. Do you see the pattern? Great. Now let's continue, follow me. After that, continue to do more figure 8 stitches around this row using the same method that I first taught you. That means you skip 2 pegs instead of 1. You only skip 1 to offset the diamond pattern, so that you get that diagonal figure 8s at each row. It is called a figure 8 stitch because if you look at it from above, it looks like you are making a literal figure 8 between the 2 pegs. Make sure your figure 8s line up in such a way that you can see clear diamond shapes within your knitting. Now keep knitting until you're satisfied with the length of the knitting. You could also measure out the desired length by slipping the knitting over your head. Now take the rest of your yarn and make a loose wrap around your loom. Cut it. Here, we are going to knit off and close the hat now. To close the hat, thread this length of yarn into your needle. Now push the yarn downwards into the loop of the first peg and then pull it out all the way. The yarn on the peg should just slip out. Repeat this step for the rest of the loops on the pegs. Pull the yarn tightly to seal off the hole at the end, and you have formed your hat. Next, turn your hat inside out and proceed to sew up the opening of your hat so that it does not pull open. Do this by sewing up all the sides around the top of your hat. This is actually a completed hat. Next, we are going to make 2 pom-poms for each side of the beanie. If you don't want the pom-poms and you want to keep it as a slouchy beanie, that's fine with you because it looks great either way. So I made 2 pom-poms and I realized that it's a bit too long. The beanie is a bit too long. If you want to make pom-poms, try to make it shorter a bit. So yes. Take what's left of your yarn and wrap it around your open palm. I made 60 complete wraps. The more wraps you make, the fluffier and fuller your pom-pom will be, so it's completely up to you. I decided to go with 60 because I don't have that much leftover yarn. If you do, you can totally make really full ones and it looks super cute. Make more wraps if you want a fuller pom-pom. And after the last wrap, slide the bundle off your hand and then cut the yarn. Now cut a shorter piece of yarn and tie it up together in front and the back so that you can secure its shape. Make sure the length of yarn is longer than the length of your bundle so that you can differentiate between your actual pom-pom and the yarn that holds it all together, because you don't want to accidentally pull it out, right? Next, you're going to cut open the center of each side of the pom-pom so that the yarn will fray out. Then you trim the pom-pom into a nice round shape so that it does not look like, weeds growing out of your garden. Yeah, tame it into a nice round shape. And once you're satisfied with your 2 pom-poms, it is time to tie them to your beanie. First, you decide where you want to put your pom-poms. I'm placing them on the top left and right of the beanie. And then I will push one of the long strings into the gap in the stitching and the other into a gap nearby. You can double knot it and make it secure. Now push the yarn through a nearby stitch also and tie it up tightly so that your pom-pom does not accidentally come off, when you're like shaking your head too much. Then do the same for the other side and your cute diamond lace stitch beanie with 2 pom-poms is complete. For more DIY videos such as this one, do check out my other videos like my Galaxy series, and I've started making a bullet journal and you can look at my videos there. Don't forget to visit my blog. I talk a lot about relationships. I hope you enjoyed this video. Goodbye, thanks for watching.